There's a new VOA Russian language TV show in countries bordering Russia called Current Time. It's broadcast in places like Georgia, Estonia, and Ukraine. The daily show is a joint production with Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and our own Alex Villarreal talked with Washington anchor Natasha Mozgavaya to get a glimpse into the issues that the show takes on and why the show tries to present an alternative to Russian media.
Now, this show is a collaborative effort between the Voice of America and Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty. Tell us about how that works.
Well, it's a complicated project. It's a unique project because we have basically daily 30 minutes show that we divide 50-50 between Washington and Prague and many other locations when we talk live to our correspondents or our guests. We focus in Washington more on America, American news and viewpoint on whatever is going on now in Europe. For example, they provide more of a Europe, but we're flexible enough to adapt to any new developments that might happen. But basically, it's 30 minutes of toss back and forth between Washington and Prague and New York and Minsk and Kiev and wherever things are happening.
So what are some of the primary issues that you focus on?
Well, our mission was supposed to provide information that is balanced, correct, and different from what you might hear on the official media in Russia, which is most of the media, to provide the viewpoint of the West, basically, and even from the people whose voices you won't hear on the Russian media, opposition, analysts that are providing some different view from what the official line is. And we're trying to do it in a way that is not counter-propaganda. Basically, it's not propaganda. We don't want to provoke anger or to find, to point fingers at someone. We want to provoke thought.
I think it's interesting how you mentioned that you want to do this in a way that doesn't create a reverse propaganda. You're trying to counter this propaganda. What is that balance like for you, and what kinds of decisions does it present for you on a daily basis?
Well, we can take a very specific example, the crisis in Ukraine, which is the focus of many programs in the past few weeks since we launched the show. I covered in the past many national conflicts, and I know, for example, how difficult it is even for the national media to cover objectively their own conflict, because in the Ukrainian media, for example, you cannot say that all of the media there is 100% objective, because it's their conflict and it hurts and it's very emotional. And we are here in a sort of position basically in between. It was interesting to see some of the reactions to our show, some of the comments in the social media, because people were surprised that, whoa, look at those guys that are probably sponsored by the American government to some extent, but they're not threatening to turn us into radioactive dust like the Russian hosts do. So maybe it's worth listening. I mean, we expected something much more aggressive, our goal is not to, to smear Russia specifically. Actually, we do try to find very constructive points of dialogue and possible light at the end of the tunnel.
So now, looking forward, if you could identify just one thing that would mean to you that this show has been a success, what would that be?
Look, I cannot tell you that, wow, we want to win over the masses, because we saw the poll numbers in Russia, but we saw in many countries in the world and over the history that sometimes meaningful change, not always positive, by the way, but we hope for a positive one. Okay. Sometimes a change is made by a small group of determined people that start asking questions and start demanding from their government answers and reforms and change. And we hope that we will provide materials and be able to provoke these questions, that it will bring to some positive change, including, I hope, it's a big goal, some positive change in the relations between the US and Russia that is deteriorating clearly.
На сегодня все. Эту программу подготовили для вас «Голос Америки».
And Natasha Mozgavaya is the Washington anchor for the program Current Time.